Welcome to Clarity Call to Cash podcast. Today we are discussing the trend that is on top of agenda for many leaders. And this trend is how to transition from selling products to selling services. And selling services is all about providing experience and value to our customers. This value in the form of services is increasing customer loyalty and creating recurring revenue streams, and also disrupting the competitive landscape. Our guest today is driving technology innovation in the area of services business monetization. Boris Aljancic is product lead for subscription billing product management in SAP, and helping SAP customers shifting their business model from product-focused to solution-focused customer-centric approach. Boris, great to have you on the show. Maybe in the beginning you could introduce yourself a little bit in more details.
Thank you, Sergey, for having me. I've started at SAP quite a long time ago, in 99 actually. So I started as a consultant and in the early days already working together with telco companies. So gathering experience with subscription-based business models. And that kind of shaped me through all these years at SAP. Then I joined, I switched from consulting to product management, and I've been working now in the past years, especially in the cloud area, working on the XaaS application, SAP subscription billing, which is a software as a service, enabling companies to very quickly introduce subscription models, and really moving into subscription business.
Okay, I think that your background with telcos is extremely important to the topic that we're discussing today, because this industry has experienced this transformation a long time ago, and I think that they are all the best practices that we have today for the subscription business is basically coming from the telco experience and being adopted by the manufacturing and the high-tech companies. Good. So when we look at this transitioning from the product to subscription, and I think that the major thing here is how do we translate the value to our customers through the services that we are selling. And how do you see this typical transition could get initiated, like from the typical product-oriented organization perspective? What should they do? How should they act in order to start selling services and transition to that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we see that some industries, they are very familiar and experienced with subscription business, right? Like telcos, utilities, media. But on the other side, there are many industries like manufacturing, consumer products, which are not yet so familiar with subscription business. And they are now really moving into that space, exploring new business models. And what we see, and that's also, I think, recommendable, that it's not like a black or white thing. It's not like today I'm selling products and tomorrow I'm a service provider. So it's really like a journey. It's a roadmap. And in the beginning, what we see, what many customers are doing who are on this path to become a service provider in the end. So they think about services, complementary services to their products. Yeah, and this is of course depending on the product you are selling. It could be consumables as a service. Yeah? Think about a printer. You still sell your printer, but on top you have a consumables as a service based on a subscription. Or let's say you are selling machines. Yeah, so in the recent years with the developments in IoT and having a lot of sensors within your machine, you can offer now access to a dashboard, and predictive maintenance services, also based on a subscription on top of your machine. So there are many ways on how you can add services on top of your classic product line, yeah, or software as a service is also a good example, right? So just that's probably the easiest, yeah, that you can on top of your product line offer complementary software as a service.
Yes, I think that this is a valid point. Especially, I think that most of the companies who are selling products, they are already having services in their portfolio. Because if we look at the maintenance, if we look at the SLAs related to the product performance, a lot of the companies are providing this complementary, meaning they are not monetizing that, it's just increasing the value of the product that they're selling. But some of the companies, they are already selling these services. So I think that if we look at this long-term strategy of transitioning, I think that it is already worth to think about existing services portfolio and how this portfolio is extending the value that you are providing with the product and how you could build even more value introducing the additional services, right?
Absolutely. I mean, what we see now is that more and more companies are kind of bundling together different offering types, yeah, to become a holistic solution provider. So it's not just about selling hardware or services or even subscription-based services. It's like the whole package, yeah. So being able to create a very nice package and a tailored package which fits the best to your customer. And it can be, hardware, consumables, software, subscriptions, everything.
Okay, so, but I think that if we look at the typical servitization maturity stages, selling the product that is this bundle, this package based on the outcome is kind of, the top of the pyramid. So this is something where we on the journey to that. And what do you think would be the appropriate way to achieve that? So I liked your comment in regards to the IoT devices and all the different types of the sensors that are measuring and collecting data, because it is providing a lot of valuable information. And based on that information, we could think about how to improve existing service because we understand how the service being consumed by the customer and what additional services we could provide on top that would, again, increase the value. So how do you see this journey, this path, basically, that would get company from selling maintenance today to selling this package and bundle? How would you describe this?
Yeah, as I said, so it is really about, it's very use case specific and it depends really on the product you are selling today. So it's more like a step-by-step approach, right? So you're starting with complementary services and then you gather experience and you have a direct relationship already with your customers, right? So this is what we see, and probably you even can start in some countries first to gather this kind of experience. And I really encourage you to test and experiment. So we have customers who started, who really did not know in the beginning whether this is really accepted by the market. So they tested it out in a selected country. And based on that experience, they kind of adapted their offering, their services, and then they rolled it out to further countries. And again, they are gathering more feedback and can add even more services or adapt their services to fit even better. So it's really a journey, as I said. It's not like a black and white thing,
Yes, I like the idea. And I think that in this way, you could really understand the implications that this transition is bringing to your business and find a good way to address that. I think that, if we look at the two different models, I mean, from my perspective, we have the huge change that should be made in the organization when we are switching to selling services. And this change starts from the way how we sell, what we sell, who would be our customers, who would get the most value out of what we are selling, basically out of our service. So how do you see your customers are like addressing this, like a part of the piloting the model, as you mentioned? So what other important components you see that should be addressed really in this process of transformation?
Yeah, I think you mentioned a good point. So I think some people just underestimate the organizational changes and also kind of the mindset changes, right? So when you transition into subscription-based business models, then you also have to adjust, I would say, probably like incentives, yeah, how to incentivize now your own sales force or partners so that the services are really nicely getting into the market, so that it's being picked up. So that's something I definitely see as a point which needs to be addressed, yeah, quite early in the process. So it's not just offering a service, it's really to have everyone on board, like the own sales force, the partners, so that everyone really fully understands what it's about and understands your journey and is able to sell that to customers.
Yes, and I think that this is one of the components. But then, if we're looking at this from the technology perspective that is enabling this transformation, so I think that, and I think that it's overall the trend and the reason why we're having this trend right now, because we have all this nice technology in place. We mentioned already the IoT that is dramatically affecting this process because it is giving us new capabilities. But then if we look at this from the technology perspective, and since you are leading the product, so what would you see would be the important components for the organizations that would enable this from the technology perspective?
Yeah, so I think now I get the question a bit better. So it's about, well, let me rephrase this. It's like if you want to explore into subscription-based business models, what is required for you to do it from a technology point of view, right? So, and I think here, the good news is that especially SAP provides a set of cloud-based applications and XaaS components, which you can nicely pick and integrate with your existing backend. So what we see is that many customers, they actually really want to be on the market very quickly. So quick go-to-market is key, but with minimum impact on the current backend. Yeah. So it independent of what the backend you're using, customers are looking for ways how to be able to run subscription-based business models. And this is why, and this is one of the key aspects we did at SAP when we developed SAP subscription billing as one component of the end-to-end quote-to-cash solution for subscription-based business models, right? And it is very easy and very quick to integrate subscription billing as a cloud-based SaaS application with your backend. And subscription billing gives you all the capabilities to define subscription products, to manage your subscriptions, and to compute regularly charges based on consumption in pay-per-use models, for example. But that's probably not the end, right? So you may also need to connect that with a front office application, for example, a web shop, right? So, for example, with SAP Commerce, so that the consumers, the subscribers, can easily find the offering and can subscribe to those services, right? So SAP provides here a set of applications which are very nicely pre-integrated out of the box, and customers can really choose and pick what is required and come to market very, very quickly.
Okay, so if I may rephrase a little bit, so this product set is giving you this agility, basically, that allows you to accelerate the go-to-market process. Because I think that a lot of the companies, who are already selling services without having this technology in place, they manage to sell it somehow. But I think that the huge difference here is like having this end-to-end flow that is allowing you to develop your product, to grow your services portfolio, and bring it to market quickly. And then we have some certain also implications on the backend side when it comes to the revenue recognition, for example, because subscription products and services are getting recognized in a different way. And I think that this is also another aspect for the companies to consider when they are planning this transition on how to really manage the growing services portfolio and how to ensure that this is process starting from the getting product to the market, ending up with getting revenue recognized properly, is streamlined and automated, right?
Absolutely, that's fully correct. So, and this is why I mentioned this end-to-end process chain for solution business. It can start with a web shop like SAP Commerce, then the main subscription engine, SAP Subscription Billing. But of course, in financials, you also need to adapt. And you mentioned revenue recognition, right? Or the ability to create invoices, regular invoices with all those price elements, recurring charges, pay-per-use elements, discounts. So all of that needs to be reflected on the invoice. It needs to be processed properly in your financials up to revenue recognition. Exactly. And SAP provides end-to-end capabilities with this regards. And what also one other aspect, it's not just about quick go-to-market with your initial offering. So in the beginning of this session, we talked about that it's a journey, right? And customers, especially if they move into subscription business, they want to experiment. So it's also about adaptation, a lot of adaptation, right? So experimenting, is it, do you want to offer your service on a pay-per-use model, or is it more a recurring subscription model, or is it a combination, right? So it's a lot of tweaking around and until you find the one price model which is really picked up by the market. And that's important, that you are running on a technology or a solution which enables you to quickly adapt your offerings.
Yes, and I think that also you touched a very important point about the pricing and how to really define the price, especially if you, in the beginning, you are selling the product, and in most cases, this is the cost-based pricing model, and you are transitioning into the long-term contract where you are bundling the set of services with your core product offering, and you should really understand from one side what is the end value that customer is getting from that. And from the other side, what would be the price point that would be relevant and that customer would be willing to pay, taking into consideration the outcome he receives from your product. And I think that this is also the very important component on how to analyze your set of services that you are providing, and really to define this pricing and finding the right pricing model for the subscription service.
Absolutely, fully agree.
Okay, so if we discuss this from the perspective of, we have defined that the services are dramatically increasing the value of the core product offering. So what would be, from your perspective, the benefits from the side of the manufacturing company that starts selling services? So it's clear the benefit from the customer, but what would be, from your perspective, the core benefits that organization transitioning to the services and bundling their core offering with the service portfolio, what are they getting at the end?
Yeah, you mentioned the manufacturing industries, right? So I think the advantages, there are several advantages. I mean, during the COVID crisis, we have seen that companies who already run subscription-based business models, that their business was much more resilient, right? So it's because contracts have been set up already, and it's much easier to fulfill an existing contract than to, I would say, go on a daily basis out and find new buyers for your products, right? So the subscription-based business models is in general more resilient. Your revenues are much more predictive, right? But also in your relationship with your customers, I see here a huge potential to increase loyalty and to have a better relationship with the customers, and especially the users who are using your products. And that gives you a lot of insight in how your products are being used, and you can work then on really tailored services to improve the usage of your machines, for example, right? And so it's a combination of the IoT and the sensor, so getting insight. It's not just giving that back to customers, but also to learn much more about how the customers are using it. And then, of course, with this insight, you can tweak your services and offer complementary add-ons to keep your customers happy, right? So that they renew the subscription at the end.
Yeah, so you are absolutely right. From my perspective, this journey to subscription service provider is all about really having this ongoing connection with the customer and really understand the customer and see how the customers are consuming and what the value are they getting at the end. And I think that this is an extremely good model in the sense that you are able to constantly adjust and improve, because I think that in the essence, we are justifying this value on the monthly basis to make sure that the customer extend our services and continue paying for them. And this is, like, from my perspective, this is a huge competitive advantage because you are constantly making sure that your customers are happy.
I mean, another aspect is that in some areas, in some markets, especially for high-priced products, you may face some saturations. You know what I mean? So in life science industries, for example, where maybe all the big hospitals, as an example, already have purchased your top-line X-ray solution. Yeah, so there's kind of a saturation. And how can you increase the addressable market? And that's where this as a service is a huge potential. So instead of selling your maybe expensive products, you can offer it as a service so that also smaller customers can afford it, and they may then pay per use for the model. Yeah? So that's what we see is that many customers actually use subscription business to increase the addressable market for their product lines.
Yes, I think that, the perfect example of this approach is what Amazon and Microsoft is doing with the cloud services that they're providing, where basically you get the availability of getting the most advanced services on the market and pay for just how much you used. And I think that this is an extremely scalable model, as we see from that experience. And I think it's definitely should be adopted by many companies in the market.
Yeah, we see that in many industries right now, and it's really interesting that I mean, we are approached by companies where you would never think that this could be an option for for a subscription-based service, but now with the technology in place, you really can think about turning everything in a service, right? And when you think about it, that you can turn really everything in a service, then there's so many potential and so many ideas how you can really increase, as I said, the addressable market, how you can reach to customers which you could not reach before just by selling the physical product, for example.
Yes, so I think that we've seen many examples on the market, like air conditioning as the service and rotation as the service, and all different types as the service models that honestly is hard to imagine that it is possible, but a lot of businesses are already monetizing this model and are very successful in, first of all, increasing the value for their existing customer base and also approaching new customer segments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. So thank you very much, Boris, for this conversation. I think that this is bringing a lot of value for many companies out there who are thinking about how to introduce the services model, how to transition, how to become more competitive and more successful on the market. I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.